Hi, I'm Natalie. I'm an adult services librarian for Durham County Library. Today we're going to be making fried green tomatoes, and I'm going to be using a recipe adapted from Down Home with the Neelys by Gina and Patrick Neely. So first we start with our tomatoes. They are washed and cleaned and ready, and so are our hands. The recipe calls for 6 tomatoes, but I'm just going to do a couple because I don't think I can eat that many. First, we're going to slice the tomato in about 1/4 inch thick slices. The most important part will just be trying to remain consistent so that everything cooks at the same speed. Here's our green tomato slices ready to be coated for frying. So I'm just going to season both sides of each slice with salt and pepper. I'm not measuring anything, I'm just eyeballing. Do both sides. So now they're seasoned with salt and pepper. I'm going to move them out of the way and get my next ingredients ready so that I can coat them for frying. In my first plate, I am adding 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour. It doesn't have to be exact since this is just for dusting the tomatoes. Again, make sure you have clean hands for this step. Try not to get flour everywhere. And for this, you can use pie dishes. I'm using cake pans. You can use a deep plate or a bowl. In this one, we're going to have buttermilk and a little bit of hot sauce of your choice. And just make sure you give the buttermilk a really good shake. And I'm going to do 3/4 cup. And then the amount of hot sauce is really up to you. It just calls for a dash, but I think a little extra can't hurt. And we're just going to whisk that together. And so in our final dish, we're going to put 3/4 cup of yellow cornmeal. With 1½ cups of panko breadcrumbs. Please note, I am not an exact measurer of ingredients. It's why I don't bake, as a rule. I'm just going to take a big fork and mix those together and make a mess. And at this point, if you want to add any extra seasonings, you can put them in here. I'm going to add a little salt. Black pepper, a little cayenne, some garlic powder. If you have a favorite seasoning blend at home, you can add that in here. And give that another stir. If you want, you can taste this to make sure that the seasonings are how you like them. I think I'm actually going to add a little Lowry's as well. And just toss that around to combine it. And now we're ready to coat our tomatoes. So taking one tomato slice at a time, seasoned with salt and pepper, you're going to start in the flour, both sides. Use your hands, it's a little messy. Make sure it's well coated and then tap off the extra. It doesn't need to be real floury. And then into the buttermilk. Coat both sides and all the edges. Let the extra drip off, and then into our panko cornmeal mixture. I like to pat it in, make sure it's well coated. Make sure you get the sides of the thicker slices. And then I have a plate ready for these once they're coated. Since this part is a little messy, this is a good portion of the recipe if you have kids who want to help out. Let them do this. They'll have a lot of fun with it since they can't help with the frying. If you're doing a large amount of tomatoes, you may need to refill. All of my tomato slices are now coated, seasoned, and ready to fry. I'm using an enameled cast iron skillet. I'd recommend using a pot or pan that is stainless steel, cast iron, or enamel. I'm going to fill this with vegetable oil. So it's about 3/4 of an inch deep. I've also set my oven to 200 degrees just to keep it warm, and I've lined a baking sheet with paper towels. So as the tomatoes come out of the oil, I'm going to put them on the baking sheet and pop them in the warm oven while the next batch fries. I'm going to be checking the temperature of my oil with a meat thermometer. I want it to be around 350, 375 tops. I'm just checking it periodically. If you don't have a cooking thermometer to use, just throw in one of your panko breadcrumbs. When it hits the oil, it should sizzle. Okay, my oil is ready. I turned it down just a smidge. So now I'm gonna put my tomatoes in. Please be careful. And don't crowd the pan. These are gonna fry about 2 minutes per side. Keep a close eye, you want them to get sort of golden brown. Of course, don't stand too close to the hot oil in case of splashing. It's a big one. I'll give it another minute. If you're not sure about your timing, you can always do a little peek to see if they're ready to be flipped. Make sure they have the nice dark golden color. Now, this oil can be saved. You just have to wait till it cools, strain it, save it in a jar, and you can use it to fry again. So now I'm all done frying my tomatoes. They're looking good. While they're still hot, I'm gonna add a little bit more salt. And a little bit more. Okay. So our tomatoes are all done. They look great. I've garnished with a little goat cheese and fresh basil, but they'd also be great with an aioli, any kind of fresh salsa or chutney that you might have, or you can save them for sandwiches. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to check the library's website and our Facebook and YouTube pages for more videos.